A good reserve list buyout can shake the market. All it takes is one domino to start falling and everything gets rolling. Welcome back everyone, MTG Moxman here. Thanks a lot for hanging out with me on the channel today. You know what, I've meant to touch on this for a while, but we've never had a good opportunity. And this weekend, with those sales figures on the reserve list, this gives me the perfect opportunity to go over the reserve list and the buyouts we're seeing. For those who are new to the channel, a reserve list is a group of cards. Nah, I'm just kidding. It's 572 cards that aren't getting reprinted. That's the basis, okay, guys? Some of those cards are really awesome. Most of those cards are junk to most of the players out there. They don't care about them. But you know what? That doesn't matter. Why does somebody collect bottle caps? They just like to. Why does somebody collect movie stub tickets? Because it's a good memory of some movies they went to, and some bad ones too. It's no different. Whatever somebody chooses to collect in this world, they've chosen to collect it. Some people love collecting reserve list cards from Magic the Gathering's history. They just love it. I'm one of those people. I can't get enough of it. I love to collect it and store it and hold on to it. And when I see a good deal that I think is a good deal, I'm going to take advantage of it. It's not your fault that it's a good deal. It's not my fault it's a good deal. People don't play with those cards. They're really cheap, so people go out and buy them. See, it used to be back in the day that people were hunting down only like the dual lands, the higher end cards. But as the higher cards get more and more priced to the moon, out of the market, out of the reach of the average player, players who want to collect and want to get into reserve list collecting will start looking at the lower end cards as viable options to build up collections of reserve list cards. There's only so many in the world. I've done lots of videos over the years. You guys can go look them up, where there's like, the reserve list ocean is going dry and the rivers are gonna, and it's true, okay? When you see cards go, a card that goes up to like 10 bucks, because there's a buyout, gets a lot of attention. Eventually, the buyouts calm down and things settle down. That card went up to like 10 bucks, but originally it was only like $2, $3. Maybe it settles at $3 or $4. Maybe it actually goes back to its original price. It takes a lot more usually than one buyout to make a price stick. But that's not why a lot of people like to do buyouts. They just like to buy out the card because it's like, oh, it's only $1 a card. It's only $1 to own, I don't know, General Jarcold. It's only $1 to get that card. And he switches the power and toughness of creatures and the blocking of 2 creatures. You can mess people up. Some people find that amusing. And he's got a cool image, so they go ahead and they buy that card. Even though it costs, 4 mana to get that guy out there? But he counts as a soldier, so I put him in this video. Think about that. Somebody maybe has an attachment to that card. Maybe somebody likes Metalworkers or Fast Bond. Two-Headed Giant of Forays. There's lots of cards out there. Oh, remember Raging River? Great cards. Lots of cards get bought out for whatever the reason may be. But generally speaking, lower end, worthless reserve cards that nobody cares about, those cards are being bought by players who just want to say, I got some reserve list cards. I'm in the market. I want to see if I can get to 500 of General Jarcold. I want to see if I can get to, I don't know, what's another like really low end card? 500 Thrall Champion. Too soon? Too soon? All right. 500 Thrall Champion. Whatever your card may be. And there's a lot of bad cards. Elvish Farmer, a lot of ones that people don't like. There's lots of lower end. Dwarven Pony. River Merfolk. We've got choices, people. We got choices. But not all of these cards are actually as worthless as some people would have you believe. It's $1 a card. It's worthless. Yeah, lots of people say that. What aspect of playing the game are you in, though? Are you looking for a competitive Type 1 vintage deck? Yep, they're probably worthless. Fun in a cube? Years of fun. Building a janky commander deck just to have a good casual night? Years of fun. It all depends on the aspect in which you're looking to collect something. I gave up a long time ago having people try to influence me on how I collect or build my collection. I do what I want to do. It's my money. And I would expect no less than any other player out there collecting whatever reserve list cards they want. Some people just go after the cheap end cards because they figure, hey, you never know when a card's going to get broken. I'm big on that too. You never know when a Magic card's going to get broken. Zubri the Golden Feather just had its buyout, right? We had Griffin Canyon and stuff get bought at hundreds and hundreds of copies on the weekend. That's not a fluke. It's not an accident. Wizards of the Coast gave us new Griffins that actually had some half-decent abilities. Why do I think I'm so bullish on Thrall Champion? If it can happen to a Griffin, it happened to squirrels. You think it can't happen to a Thrall? Of course it can. We just don't know when. And when it comes to reserve list cards, because you don't know when, a lot of people choose not to collect it and say it's going to stay worthless. And maybe it will. A real collector usually doesn't care about the value of something. It's nice to know it has some financial intrinsic value. Like, hey, it's a cool card and it's, only so many made. That's awesome. For any of these reserve list cards, they're all finite amounts. But at the same time, we like there to be a financial thing. Like, hey, this card's like $20 now. I remember buying it at 50 cents. We love being able to say that. We love to put our invested time and say, I made a good play. I made a good buy. And I look at it and say, hey, I bought Soldevi Excavations at $40 Canadian. Now they're $10. That's not a good buy. That's not a good cost basis for me. But I still love that card. And it doesn't really matter to me if it's $40 or $5. I'm going to keep buying it. And a lot of reserve list people are on those lines. They don't care what the rest of the general public out there says about their card collection. They do it because they want to do it. And they probably figure, I'm not hurting you, so what do you care? I'm proud of my collection. I'm going to keep buying it. Because one day when there's nothing left and there's no cards for people to buy that aren't $20, $30 a reserve list card, and yes, that time could be 100 years from now, it could be never. But that's somebody's opinion on when they think things will happen. Nobody has a timeline. There's no crystal ball saying exactly when things were going to go down. When Power Leech got bought out on the weekend, how many people thought Power Leech was going to go? Right? Probably not that many people. But it's been bought out before. History shows us where some of these cards have gone before. Somebody has tried to buy out that Power Leech in the past. Somebody has tried to buy out Frankenstein's Monster, Nameless Race, Stone Calendar, City of Shadows. These cards have been on bigger YouTube channels, smaller YouTube channels. Guys, they're going to go up again. They're going to get bought and sold again. Because there is a finite amount. Like any commodity in the world, there is only a finite amount. And if people don't recognize it right away, that's all the better for you out there collecting it. If you're a collector and you say, man, Thrall Champion's down to like $1.50 a card. What was its highest? Around $10? Now it's $1.50? What does that tell you? Not a bad time to buy if you needed to get some. That's what I'm saying. These cards go up and they dip in value just like anything else in the world based on the needs of players. Do you think Zubri the Golden Feather is actually going to stay the way it's been at? No. The hype will die down. And the Griffin will, glide back down to earth. And Griffin Canyon from Visions, that's gonna come down in price too. And guess what? As much as people may not think it will, Power Leech will come down too. It's going to come down. If you don't got one yet, don't worry. It may not go back down to its original lowest level. Reserve list cards do have a way of kind of staying slightly above where their original previous lows were. But it will come back down because the market calms down. The money moves on. Brothers War is here now. Remember Haunting Wind and all these other reserve list cards that have slowly been being bought out? If you're new to my channel, you missed all that. I've done a lot of coverage on some of these cards this year. And I really do focus on some of these reserve list buyouts. And you know what? They happen all the time. They don't get covered by all the channels other than my channel apparently, but they do happen all the time. There's already been 50, 60 sales going into next week's Hot Top 10 already. Because people are buying certain cards. They're happy. And you know what? 60 cards cost them $60. And they can now say, I'm going to be the #1 card on the Hot 10. I bought 200 copies last month and it only cost me $200. Or in some cases, if you buy moderately played or heavily played copies, you spent like 10, 15 cents a copy in some cases. I've noticed more of a consolidation of reserve list cards going to players than has ever been seen before. When you look at what's happening with the LGS level guys, when they are restocking things, it's not near mint anymore. You guys know it's not. When people start buying Lake of the Dead, and they're buying light played copies last month because we said, well, $50 for Lake of the Dead, that's really cheap. The US price, by the way, was $50. Here in Canada, it was still like $110, but it was still cheaper than before. You look at that and you recognize that seeing a Lake of the Dead near mint now compared to near mint 5 years ago, there's a big difference between those cards. And I have done some comparisons on cards I've been buying the last couple of years. And yes, the near mints are not nearly as near mint as they used to be. But it's all part of the collection and the collecting. Looking at moderate play, looking at heavily played, depending on what people want to spend their money on, it can be a crazy, exciting endeavor to build your collection, build these things up. And you don't have to spend an arm and a leg. Yeah, you want to go out there and buy yourself a Savannah, you're spending like $350 US. It's going to be $500 Canadian. I get it. It's expensive. But that's no more than buying like a collector box of Double Masters 2022. At least the card's reserve list and it's guaranteed to give you a spot in a commander. Right? Some of the cards here, you might not get something great. Depends on what you want to spend your money on. I find this stuff just, time goes by and I hear people just kvetch and complain about how these cards are worthless and nobody plays them and nobody buys them. People buy them all the time. And when you see somebody on TCG Player buying 25 or 30 copies of a card, and they're going to hoard those 30 copies, and you don't see any sales for a while, they're waiting for that store or another store to consolidate 20 or 30 copies together again. They don't want to buy single copies from single stores and worry about multiple shipping and stuff. They try to buy the allotments of 20 or 30 cards at a time. It happens daily when you start looking around. Somebody bought 5 of this because it all came from the same retailer. They could buy it all at once, no extra shipping charges. The more places you buy from, the more times hidden charges seem to pop up. I ask people and talk to them about it all the time. Guys, the buyouts shake things up when they get announced by a big channel like Alpha Investments, when Ruri brings out and says, look what happened with Power Leech. But I announced a few days ahead and we talked about it earlier in the week. People just didn't notice. And I think that is awesome for people on my channel who follow me here and recognize you can get the information before other people, get it down flat, and buy cards you want to buy. And you know what? Be proud. Enjoy the cards you buy, just like I do. I'm going to build that soldier deck. It's going to be epic, and I don't care if it wins. I care that I have a great time playing. Because not everything has to be super competitive and I have to win. I'm not going to a tournament, people. I'm going to have fun, play Commander with some buddies, play with some new friends, hopefully meet some new people, and they go, what are you playing? And you say, this is my soldier deck, this is my throw bowl deck. You got to enjoy the game, and you can't let people stop you from buying cards you like. Low-end reserve list cards or not, if you enjoy buying them and you're not hurting anyone, I say have at it and have a good time. Thanks a lot for tuning in, everyone. I hope you had a blast here, because sometimes you got to shake things up on the market, and what's been going on right now has actually been happening for a while. You just didn't notice. Hey guys, a big shout out to all my fantastic patrons who support this channel each and every day. Look at those names flashing across the screen. Patrons make the world go round. It's true! My name is MTG Moxman. I collect reserve list cards. I don't care if they're big and flashy. I don't care if they're hot and spicy. I just care that they're reserve list cards and I get to enjoy them at an affordable price. And I'm going to keep buying them as long as they're at the affordable price I can afford to enjoy them at. And yes, I do intend on playing with them, and I don't care how bad they are. I just want to have fun. Have a great day, guys. I can't help myself. You guys crack me up. You're awesome. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. You guys are the special ones. And yeah, I am going to keep buying reserve list cards. I bought a whack load today. I made a buy, people. That's right. I bought a pile of reserve list cards. Yeah. And I'm happy.